boy, 4 o'clock rolled around real fast today, Chris.
It did. It's 6 o'clock for me.
Yes.
It took a little longer. It took a little longer for me to get there.
That's very true. Hey, David, we mentioned, and Andrew, before getting live, you and I were chatting about my stomach flu. So if all of a sudden I rush out of the room, you're live on your own. We'll be back.
So it took me a long time to be comfortable going live by myself.
Yep.
Like I went live a couple of times with somebody and like their internet connection failed. They had to refresh, so they had to leave. And so like whenever, like you could refresh your page right now and I would still be live and you'd have to come back in the studio and the stream would still be going. And so that would happen. I'd be like, all right, so what do I say? Oh man.
Oh my gosh, we've already got a bunch of awesome people logging in. We got Nathan, Trevor, Christy. I don't want to forget anybody. Gabe is here. So
Val
Wendy
is here.
Gretchen. Awesome.
Yeah.
We're gonna have one heck of a conversation. We actually, from what I gather, so just to let everybody know, I think most everybody knows, but maybe not, maybe if you don't know, that you are my live stream coach, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, I don't know how many months ago, maybe 7, 8, 9 months ago.
Yeah, I want to say it
course.
was June or July. So it's coming up on like 10
year.
months now.
Yeah.
Yeah, coming up on a year.
Yeah, because I'm going to take June off. So again, I'm taking a month off to take a rest because it's been a year and come back stronger and revamp it. So who was your live stream coach?
Nobody.
Nobody?
I did it all. Now I did like, I didn't have any like formal training like what you and I went through. But like Gabe was somebody that was instrumental in helping. Like I started live streaming, just winging it, trying to figure stuff out, doing it as I went. And that's kind of how I learned what worked and what didn't. When I got ready to start producing, I really kind of honed in on it and I pestered the snot out of Gabe Leal and DJ Durante, like getting on calls with them, asking them questions. All right, how do you do this? Now, what about this? What do you do? Like what all is involved? And they really helped me, like launch me into the producing and training.
Yeah.
But I just went live and I posted every couple of months. Like the first 3 minutes of my very first live was, the whole live was terrible, but the first 3 minutes were like cringe-worthy. Cringe-worthy. And I post that about every 3 months just to let people know that, you know,
it's okay.
I look, all the lights and the nice camera and all that stuff, it was not always like that. Like I promise you, I was not always a pro, if you will.
Yeah. Well, we all have to start, right? So I kind of feel like we have 3 generations of live streamers then. So if you were really, you know, if Gabe was super instrumental in you know, you watching him, he's here, now you, now me. So we got 3 generations here.
3 generations. That's it, man.
Not talking about age, because I think I'm probably the oldest.
Yeah.
But I'm the baby with live streaming. Yay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
hey, Melissa Houston, I see you.
Once, because I had a guest. Typically, when I don't have a guest, twice has, you know, at the last minute say, hey, I have a family emergency, I can't come. So I've been very grateful and fortunate that I call my youngest daughter and say, okay, you're going live with me. My oldest just comes out and says no, right? My youngest has a harder time saying no to mom. And she's a phenomenal guest. You know, when Anya comes on, you know,
she's amazing.
She is amazing. So we're lucky when she gets on. But I did go live once myself. And yes, I don't think I can even go back and look at it.
So like my first one, I did it as a pop-up live at like 7:30 in the morning, my time.
Yeah.
Just to do it, just to kind of get over the hump. I thought, man, it's 7:30. It's 8:30 on the East Coast. Maybe nobody will show up. And like 10 people showed up and I just rambled. But I jumped over that hump. I got over the fear of going live by myself.
Yeah.
And now I can do it. Like that started a whole string of last summer, I think it was. It may have been 2 years ago. I don't even remember now. Where I just do a pop-up live at least once a week in the mornings. and just ramble. Like I had nothing on my mind at all, and just kind of ramble, say good morning to everyone for 15, 20 minutes, and it's all good. Hey, Kev.
Yeah, we got a lot of live people here. We got Gretchen, who,
Yep.
you know, I remember Gretchen's first live that she did by herself. I know Gretchen's
Yeah.
going to make a comment on it, but I saw her live by herself first time. I love what Melissa on Saturday, she has an audio LinkedIn, which I didn't know existed until I got an invitation from Melissa's audio LinkedIn. So that's really early morning for me, 6 a.m. I think Melissa's crazy at 6 a.m. But I've gotten on and I really enjoy the audio LinkedIn.
Yeah.
You know, obviously Trevor, Gabe. So yay. Awesome.
Melissa, I do remember who was on my first. I had a panel of people because I thought I just want to bring some people on that are fun and we can laugh. And yeah, pop up, I mean unscheduled, Nathan. That's what I call an unscheduled. So I had Trevor Hansen, I had Jacob Schwer, I had Amy Wills, Aaron Westrich. Who else? Maybe that was it. And we just cut up and laughed, and like Jacob was on his phone and he was getting snacks out of the fridge, and he put the phone down in the fridge and was like talking and rumbling around getting food, and it was just like it was nuts. We thought he was going to leave us in there. He got his food and left.
Well, I remember one of your lives you were cooking prison food.
I was. Yep, I did that last year. I sure did.
I watched that one. Yeah, I
did. I had a buddy of mine I did time with came on, and we just talked, and I made a spread and ate it.
Yep. See, we can go live on almost anything.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, maybe anything. I guess it depends on the platform.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, there's platforms for everything.
Yeah, can't make me blush going live.
Yeah. So I made a post the other day about going live, and James Franz, he commented. He said, "I had a girlfriend that used to live stream," and I was like, "Bro, if you pay her, she is not your girlfriend."
Yeah, that is funny. Kind of like a way to figure it out, right?
Yeah. Not me, not this white boy.
No, not worth getting arrested over.
No, it's not.
At least not at my age.
No, not at any age. I've been there, done that. I'm not doing it again.
Okay, we're switching the topic before I really lose it. Melissa says I need those recipes still.
You know, they have prison cookbooks, but it's just like, yeah, we should talk, and I should tell you about it, Melissa. We won't have to go into it on here. We could take up a whole show talking about prison food recipes.
So I saw today on LinkedIn, you're going live on ending the stigma again.
Yep, I'm bringing it back. I have not done it. Yeah, I haven't done it in a while. I was doing two different So I Did a Thing. That's the name of my main show. I was doing it every week. And then I was doing Ending the Stigma twice a month. And it just got to where it was a lot because I'm, trying to really had started to sink my teeth into trying to grow the business. I had a few one-on-one clients. I had, one production client, was ramping up to get started for a boot camp at the beginning of the year. So I haven't done Ending the Stigma probably since September of last year.
Yeah.
October, maybe before that. I don't even know. I'd have to go back and look. So I'm going to kind of go back and forth, do like 1 quarter of So I Did a Thing and 1 quarter of Ending the Stigma. Just because Ending the Stigma it's a show that's near and dear to my heart. For anybody that doesn't know, I've been to prison. I did a little over 8 years. And I originally started the show with Nathan Winzenreed. He's not on LinkedIn anymore. And we just would bring people on. Like, we had done a few posts about having been locked up, received tremendous support. And we were like, we had both just started live streaming, and he said, man, we ought to do something. And I said, okay, let's do it. And so Ending the Stigma was born. We bring people on. Tanya was a guest on that one. We bring people on.
That was my very first live, first live ever. And yeah, I never sweated
We
so
might
much in my life.
we might have still been in the training phase then. We might have still been
We were
training.
just ending the training, and that was
Yeah,
part of the training was that I would go live on your show. Yep.
yeah, yeah. But we bring people on whose family has been locked up, like in Tanya's case. Maybe they've been to prison and gotten out and have been doing good, or they've struggled with addiction, or they work for an organization that helps people coming out of prison, just to kind of normalize, not the fact that people have, we don't ever want to normalize breaking the law, but
Right.
normalize the fact that people do break the law. They go to prison, they get out. Not all of them want to act right. Like, we acknowledge that. Like, I'm not saying everybody that comes out of prison is going to act right and do right and, be your best employee or whatever. But the ones that do deserve that chance.
Right.
Everybody
Absolutely.
deserves a chance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, it's such the stigma associated with people who have been to prison is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
The statistics are 1 in 3 people in the United States have had some sort of felony conviction or felony charge. So whether they actually went to prison or not, they could have got probation, but they're still felons.
Right.
So, when you got to check that box, it's an automatic, like it's just a kick in the gut every time you do. Cause well, I'm not going to get this one. And I know guys, man, I have a friend he got his master's degree in prison. He got his PhD when he got out. He's an adjunct professor for one of the colleges here. He goes into prisons and teaches college. He's also the reentry specialist. He helps the alumni from that college when they get out reintegrate into society.
Yep.
He works for a college. He has a PhD, and he still has problems finding housing because he's a felon.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what happened to my dad. He actually, when he got out, so he was in prison for most of my high school years. And then when he got out, he was some sort of intern at a college. So again, a college situation, and ended up at the end when he retired, he ran the whole IT department and had a great retirement. But again, it was really hard for him to get housing. He had finally, when he bought a home, it was easier, but he rented for years and years and years. And it was not easy for, regardless of, him being, he wasn't a drug addict. He was working and, I was way gone by then, but it was what it was,
Yeah.
I love that show that you have. So a question here from Gabe. I don't see Melissa Houston. She's watching on Tanya's profile. Am I setting something up incorrectly on
No.
live?
No. So if you're watching on LinkedIn, unless you have the chat overlay on, he heard us talking about Melissa Houston, but he wasn't seeing any of her comments.
Right.
Because, we're the only ones that can see the comments coming in unless you turn the chat overlay on.
Okay.
Which that is an advantage to having the chat overlay on, is it allows people that are watching from your profile and my profile to conversate because they can see it, on screen.
So can Gabe see that I posted her comment right here?
Yes. Yeah. He can see that.
Okay. So do I need to go into the chat and put on chat overlay right now?
You can. Now, none of the old comments, people will have to comment for it to start showing up. It doesn't automatically show the past stuff.
Okay, so somebody make a so Melissa make a comment. So see, I'm getting a coaching session right here live. And I don't know if I don't know if my profile, if it's going to work or not. I'll switch it back if it doesn't.
No, it'll work.
I don't see anything coming up. I see comments coming in, but I don't see anything on the overlay. Oh, there she goes. Here's Gretchen's comment. No, it's coming in. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So that solves that issue for Gabe then?
Yeah.
We fixed you, Gabe.
He didn't even know you were broke.
Some people hide it now.
Right.
Melissa, sorry to interrupt the program. No, Melissa, it's awesome. I just got a lesson. There you go. Hey, Nathan. Yeah. So anybody here that's not on live, or even if you are live, if you have any questions, for Chris, please shout them out, or questions. Wendy, thank you for being here. So Wendy's been messaging me the last couple of days. Wendy has some great programs that she has with exercise and nutrition, and she's very active on LinkedIn and Facebook as well. And she's like, the last thing I want to think about her right now after going through the stomach flu, since Tuesday is food. It's like,
Right.
don't ask me what I'm eating because don't.
It's nothing. Yeah.
So I'm not ignoring you, Wendy. Just don't want to deal with that right now.
Right.
Before Chris and I went live, I told him I was very grateful we weren't in a situation in society where we just had outhouses. Oh my God, I am not a baby when I get sick. And I have not had the stomach flu, like I was saying, like for 30 years. I think my kids were little when I had this stomach flu. I'm a baby. When it comes to the stomach flu, I don't wish it on anybody. No.
I don't either. It's terrible.
Yeah.
All right, Gabe, what's the hardest thing about keeping up with the beard? Since I started getting it trimmed up and shaped up, it's really not that hard to keep up with anymore. There is a little bit of I do have a little bit of a routine that involves some products and like a hot brush to straighten it and all that, but totally it only takes like 5 minutes. So it's not hard to keep up with. Not at all.
You're not high maintenance anymore, or
no,
again.
No, I'm not. Although I do when I go get it trimmed, I get it cleaned up on the sides and kind of just shaped up or whatever. I get a mini cooling facial, and she like does cold towels and menthol stuff on my face and cold rollers on my head and massages me. And so that's really, really, really nice.
That would be. I love getting
nice.
Facials. It's okay. Yes.
It's so amazing. So amazing. And now I go once a month, whether I need the beard trim or not, because I want that head massage and face massage, and it's amazing.
Well, as hard as we work, you deserve it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I don't know, like pedicures for, I don't know. I know guys get pedicures too. So
I got a buddy of mine that does. He gets them religiously.
Yeah.
He loves them.
Yeah. We got a question here. Hold on. Val's got a question. Oh, it's not popping up for me. Hold on, Val. I'm finding it. There we go. Chris or Tanya, are you available to help people with other video projects besides live streaming? That's not my expertise at all. So Chris, you get to answer that question.
Depends on what kind of projects you're talking about, Val. I don't do too much. I do my own video stuff. It's not my strong suit, but I can do it. So, but I know other people that do, but I don't do a whole lot of just like, organic video. Yeah.
So I don't have the correct pronunciation of her last name, but Shri had a great video course. Yeah. And so she went live with me about a month ago, and Shri has some great video courses. So if you're looking at just a great video course, I highly recommend checking out my live. She talked about her projects and some of her programs that she offers. And I have actually taken one of hers. She taught me how to caption and do some, how to make a video shorter. Yeah.
Yep. She's really good at that. She's the one I would talk to about any kind of video stuff.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay. So Gabe says, what is it like working with Chris as a coach? He was great. So he actually was a pop-up guest speaker for my coach. And so I showed up, and I wasn't even really thinking about showing up for this pop-up training, because why do I want to do live streaming as a coach kind of thing, right? And I showed up, and I guess the rest is history. So Chris was offering, right? So Chris was offering a one-on-one program at the time. I don't know that you had a group program at the time.
I did not. Nope, I did not.
Yep, I signed up for your one-on-one, and I'm so glad I did. So he's a great coach. He's very patient. I am not techie. He had to go over things maybe 2 or 3 times. We Zoomed it, had to tape it, and I'd go back and have to watch it. So or I'd be messaging him on LinkedIn. Okay, you got to show me this again. Yes, I'm not exaggerating, am I?
And for those of y'all that don't know, she was my very first client ever. Very first client. I showed a lot of people how to kind of run Restream and give them some crash courses, but she was my very first ever paying client.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
And look at her now, live streaming like a pro.
Yep. And I love it. I really do. All right. So good coach, really good coach, patient, specific, all that kind of stuff. So yeah. And handheld as I jumped out of the nest because like I said, my first live was on your show, and then
Yep.
you were my first guest on my show, so I had
Yep.
that comfort zone that okay, I'm
Yep.
gonna go live with you. I'm here for you. So I couldn't have asked for a better experience.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of the things I recommend for anybody that or I offer. I don't recommend it. It's there for the offer is, we go live, your very first live after we get done training, I'll go live with you.
Yeah.
We can talk about absolutely nothing. That's a recommendation I make for any of my clients is your very first live. Don't be worried about bringing value or having talking points. Get somebody on there, whether it's me or whether it's just a friend, and y'all have a freaking coffee chat live while you're playing with the software and doing all the things that you just learned. That way there's no pressure to perform. And if everybody knows you're just, easily distracted by squirrels.
Yep. I wanted to leave that there till you saw it.
Yeah. If you just, thank you, Melissa. That did distract me. But that way you're not worried about performing, right? Or bringing value. You're just having fun. You're learning the software. You got a friend there to kind of talk and joke and cut up with. That's kind of why I offer that. Plus, if you have me on there, if I work with you and you have me on there, you have me there to ask questions with if you get stuck trying to do something.
Right. Oh, and I've gotten stuck. When you and I went live, it went smooth. I'm like, okay, I can do this. This is really cool. And then my coach, Katie, came on my second live. So I'm like, okay, now I have a safe person who's going to cooperate, right, kind of thing. And then I went like the third or fourth time and we kept freezing. And the sound, I had an echo in the background and I called you almost in tears. Yeah, and I've had lives now, and I know Gretchen has witnessed. So Gretchen has witnessed quite a few of my lives where I've had a guest either freeze and have to keep going, logging off, logging in, logging off, logging in, and like the fourth time, I don't let them back in. It's like, okay, I'm going live by myself.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
And that's,
and here's what I always tell people that'll fix that about 80% of the time. Restart your computer. Yep. Don't open all your tabs back up. Just open Restream up.
Yeah.
And also make sure nobody else, especially if you're on Wi-Fi, is streaming anything, watching Netflix or whatever, playing video games. The kids aren't in there playing Fortnite or whatever, because you want to make sure your internet connection is stable and you're getting all of the bandwidth.
Right.
But restarting your computer and closing all your tabs will fix that most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes you get a guest that goes live for the first time and I forget what it was like the first time because I really was nervous and sweating and all that and slurring my words. Although I've seen some of your lives when you couldn't put a sentence together.
Couldn't put a sentence together to save my life. And I clipped. Right? And that's another one. I clipped that one. Like I had a live stream that she was with a friend of mine, and thankfully she live streams occasionally too. So she was really good at carrying the conversation, but I could not put thoughts together, get my thoughts into words. I couldn't have any clear, coherent thoughts.
That's why I tease you on it, because you posted. Yeah.
Yeah. And I did. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to post this. Like I took the worst minute where I just totally spaced out. And that happened 4 or 5 times where I lost my train of thought. Yeah. And I post that again every couple months just to show people that, I've been doing this for a minute now and crap still happens.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, and that's what makes it real, right? Obviously, that's no pun intended, but that's what makes it live. But it's internet happens. Freezing happens. Being nervous is normal, right? Yeah. And we can look back on it now and laugh. Gabe, just we're holding you to the. I'm going to say we. I'm holding you to that. He says I need to get back live with Chris and Tanya. So
yeah, you need to have. Have you ever had Gabe? Has Gabe been on your show? Oh, you need to send him your link.
Yep. And like I said, I'm off for taking the month of June off and coming back, with some changes. And yes, Melissa, Gretchen, Paul, everybody.
Just FYI, he is unfiltered as hell.
Good.
There is absolutely zero filter on him.
Okay, so if I was brave, but I was brave enough to get on a call with April, right? She doesn't have, right?
She has no filter either.
She has no filter, and I had so much fun being on her show. So she's been on my show. She was pretty well behaved, And Melissa says, how do you ensure guests behave? You can't.
You can't. I
But
usually try to
I can
keep
turn
my
them off.
yeah. I usually try to keep my show like PG-13 ish. You know, but Gabe's a lot more bold in the comments. He will be saying some old crazy stuff in the comments just to make you
Yeah.
laugh.
Yeah.
And then when you don't acknowledge it, he calls you out for not acknowledging it.
Yeah.
It's fun. Like it's fun. It's a blast.
Well, that's why him and Melissa are connected, because Gretchen
Yeah.
too. Melissa will make a post that will make me laugh or bring the, make it more interesting, right?
Mhm.
Especially if the guest is a little nervous and
Mhm.
it's so yes, it's like yay, thank you for helping carrying me this show.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the filter part, I don't worry about it.
Yeah. What do they got? Like it doesn't bother me either at all.
Yeah.
Not even a little bit.
No.
Melissa
No,
threatens
not at
her
all.
guests.
All right. So what other questions do we have? How do you ensure
Yeah, do we
guests
have
behave? Yeah, Melissa, we can't.
Yeah, you can't. You just have to know that's what you're getting into. Most of the time they do though.
Yeah. 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 No, Melissa says I'm working with Gabe. Yep. I know you guys are working with each other. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I can attest to this
Statement.
Right. For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually tried to connect with some of the people like you and Gabe when I went to Texas, and then my schedule changed, and then we had some major storms, a couple of days where I really don't. I mean, I love visiting with people, but I'm not really keen in driving in thunder and stuff like that on my vacation. So
yeah, I don't blame you. And I hated like it was the middle of the week. It's hard. Like I'd had to take off work early, and then I'd have got home late and had to been at work the next day, and it would have just been really it'd have been a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get that. And I have a client that had me into Dallas to coach his team in Dallas. So I was very excited and blessed to have that opportunity for the first time where someone's like, yeah, I'm flying you in live. So that was really cool. So
That's cool
for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Paul had a
Misbehaving like guests
question.
make for a very engaging show.
They do. Yes, they do. Paul had a question too. What are the biggest mistakes people make in your experience live streaming? So a lot of it is they don't engage with their audience while they're live, and it's a lot. Like it can be a lot to try and engage with your audience and talk at the same time. A lot of it is just like equipment stuff. They don't know how to use their mic or set their mic up right, or talking to the right side of their mic. They don't know how to set up their lighting. A lot of it is they'll be really inconsistent. Like, I always say it's kind of a catch-22. It's your live show. Do it whenever the hell you want to do it. But there's also something to be said for consistency. My live viewers shot way up once I nailed down a date and a time instead of adjusting. And I did a post about it last week. Instead of adjusting my times to fit my guest, I started going live at Monday nights at 7.
Right.
And if my guests couldn't make it, they just couldn't make it. And my live viewers tripled just about when I started doing that because it was more consistent. So being consistent, you don't have to have fancy equipment. You don't have to have, all the crazy graphics and the custom you don't have to have any of that. All that makes for a more engaging show and a more branded show, which is something you definitely want if you're, doing it to promote your business. But you don't have to have all that. If all you have is your laptop, then go live with your laptop.
Yeah.
And then if you want to upgrade later, you can. And yeah, you're exactly right. Learning how to use the software is one thing for sure, Gabe. Learning how to use the tools in it, whether it's custom graphics or whether it's doing slideshows or, like Restream now, you can bring in an extra camera. So I could have 2 cameras where I could swap views, if I wanted a side view or something like that. Learning the tools of the software and the settings and all that kind of stuff for sure.
Yeah.
Jerry had a question too. Does it matter what you have in the background? It does not, as long as, like, if that window was open right behind me, I would be washed out right now. Because you don't want any bright lights coming in from behind you. So I generally, you don't want it looking real cluttered or whatever, but it doesn't really matter. I like custom backgrounds. That's why I have the lights and the skull and my duck and all that kind of stuff. My home studio, when I finally get it finished, is going to be badass. The background is, but
Yeah.
it's not super important as long as you don't have like an open window behind you with the sun streaming in where it washes you out.
Yeah. And I love that question, Jerry, because when I'm home, my background has a sword and I have this really cool print of Wonder Woman.
Mhm.
And I'm, at my daughter's house, I'm allergic to cats and I've got a cat scratcher behind me.
Yeah.
So as much as I love my kid, it doesn't resonate much with me either when I look at my background. I just think of, allergy medicine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And like if I widened my camera out, like my camera has an adjustable field of view, you would see like a printer, you'd see a chair over here with files in it that are normally sitting on my desk. You'd see all the stuff that, so I have it set where it's pretty right here.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. Yeah. And so Nathan, my next live, I'll be home. So I've been in Oregon, at my daughter's home and then in Texas, and I'm back to Oregon and then driving home with my dog tomorrow. So the next live I will be at home and you'll see a whole different background. Again, I love being here, love being grandma when I'm here. And then when I'm home, it's, more of my things that I intentionally set where I want to have my background.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah. And I want to go back to the consistency thing. There was a post from David about consistency. One of the first things you taught me going live, because I had some guests from England that wanted to be on. There was a nutritionist, and I'm trying to think. There was a social media gal, but that's like midnight their time at 4:00. So occasionally I've gone live at a different time and just said, hey, it's a different time this week. But for the most part, it's Thursdays at 4:00, and I don't know that I'd ever change it. Yeah.
And I'm glad you brought that up because I do adjust it if my guest is overseas.
Yeah.
But you cannot expect them to be, I go live at 7 my time. In the UK, they're 8 hours ahead of us. And you can't expect them to be up at 3:00 in the morning.
No. So yeah, I went live with Alex Hall, right? Alex Hall and I went live, and it was a great show. And I did it at 9 a.m. Pacific. So I will occasionally switch the time, but that was a great advice that you gave me. Just be consistent with your time.
Be consistent.
Yeah.
And if they can't do it, they can't do it.
But the best. That's my favorite comment all day. That's it. It is being the best. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to just stay here at the grandma comment for a minute. I already know my granddaughter's 17, 18 months. And so 17, 18 months ago, I just like, what the frost? When did grandma ever become anywhere near my sights? Like, what? No.
Right.
But it is the best, but the lesson there is, and I know it's corny, but the lesson there is just how fast the years go. The days sometimes might feel really short, but those years I can't believe it's May already.
I know. It seems like we just did New Year's.
Yeah, I know. It does, doesn't it?
Paul had a great question too. So I don't have a script. I don't have a framework. I don't have a run a show. I don't do, I don't have show notes. I don't have any of that. I kind of have a general idea in my head of where I want the show to go. And then I always ask my guests, you have anything coming up you want to make sure we talk about? Is there anything in particular you want to make sure we touch on? And I'll write it down before the show, but I'll ask them that backstage pre-show. Other people do it different. One of my clients, she has a questionnaire they have to fill out beforehand. So it's really according to how you want to do it. I like the free-flowing conversation. But I'm a free-flowing kind of guy. Like that's just the way I like to do it. So you just kind of have to find out what works for you. If you're going to schedule them, you might have like Tanya uses a scheduling link. I don't. I just send them a DM and ask them if they want to be on the show and tell them my next available dates. You could have, build that schedule, build the questions into the scheduling link where you kind of have an idea, there's some background on them. And I don't know exactly what your show's about, but just kind of, I don't know, just that would be the way I do it. That's the way April does it.
Yeah, I'm going to interrupt for just a second. Paul, I do have a form. Like, I didn't send it to Chris because I know Chris and we've been live together. But for people that are new and mostly new to live streaming, so I probably wouldn't send it to Gabe or to Melissa or Gretchen. But for anybody new or somebody I don't know real well, I send them a form that has like 3 questions. Like, what's your story? What's a story you want to share that impacted you, that might impact the people that are listening, just to get their creative juices going so that they aren't cold turkey, because not everybody can wing it, as I've learned the hard way. So that was an advice that Chris had given me. And I think one of the best pieces of advice Chris also has given me is to get on your live with your guest 15 minutes early. Right. Like, doesn't mean it always happens. I've had guests that are there at 4 but we don't have a chance to check our sound or the lighting or, again, go through any questions and get them comfortable. So as I'm thinking of advice that Chris has given me, those are some of the pieces of advice I hope people hear, because it really helps.
Get backstage with them early. The last thing you need is for them having trouble getting in, and you're trying to figure it out because you told them to be there right at showtime. And you're trying to figure it out and troubleshoot it. You may not even have their phone number because, you're trying to go back and forth in emails or DMs or something like that. So getting on early is crucial.
Yeah. Looking forward to your show, Gabe. It's been more than a half an hour, and typically the show is a half an hour. I think we can go on and on. But I want to honor your time and everybody else's time. So thank you. This was great. Loved all the comments and the participation.
Yeah, thank y'all for showing up.
Yeah. And hopefully next Thursday, you'll see a whole new background.
Real quick plug, y'all. I start Ending the Stigma back up on Monday nights at 7 Central. I've got Dr. Genevieve Reimer on. She's good. I don't remember the name of the company. She works with a company that specifically helps people coming out of prison. She does national talks on it. She's been to prison. So we're just going to have a great conversation about it. I don't have any guests lined up after her, but it will be consistently every Monday night for at least through the end of the quarter.
Yeah. Well, I know I've been on the show, but if you ever want another perspective on it from, a kid's point of view, happy to always hop on with you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. And I know we've got Melissa on here and Gabe and a lot of other people who are talking about lives, Trevor, right? Happy to have you on or be on. And obviously Chris is too, I know.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.
All right. Thanks, Tanya.
Yeah. Thank you.
Bye, y'all.